Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy. That's right, that was fast. And this is my latest tutorial. This is how to make a Damascus steel knife out of paper. Yeah, so technically it's not Damascus steel because it's not steel. But in that kind of steel, you take two or more different types and you forge weld them together, and then you do your knife making with them, and you end up with these beautiful patterns on it. So a friend of mine, Greg, and thanks Greg, suggested, hey, how about trying something like that with paper? Where you put together a bunch of layers of paper and then work it so it comes out with the pattern like a Damascus steel. And that's what we did. See, look, and you get a lot of options as to how you can do it. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. Work on it with Dremel, with sandpaper, and all kinds of things to come up with some really wonderful patterns. So that's this. How to, we put together a bunch of layers of paper and formed it into the shape of a knife. And it's pretty strong. But does it cut? Well, actually, you can probably sharpen this thing up a lot and use it for limited use. For instance, it cuts a pepper. But without more sharpening, it doesn't seem to want to cut a cucumber. Thanks. All right, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. Always lots of fun, creative, and interesting stuff. I do 2 videos every week. Hit that button if you're not a subscriber. Leave me a comment. I read all comments. Leave me a project suggestion because I love project suggestions. Let's launch into the introduction and let's do how to make a Damascus steel knife out of paper. All right, the first thing you do is you draw yourself out the knife shape that you want. That's called the profile of the knife. And then draw it on construction paper or regular paper and then cut it out. And then glue it down to a piece of cereal box cardboard. This becomes our template. And cut out the template. So now use that template to make all your sheets of construction paper for your knife. And we did 45 of them. So do some as, you can make the knife as thick as you want. And as you're cutting them and you're checking them and, you know, pile them up and see how thick it is. But 45 is about right for us. You can do more, you can do less. And vary your colors. If you want something more traditional Damascus steel, you might want to do just like a mostly white and occasional black, like 4-to-1 ratio. See, there we go. We used 5 different colors just so we could see like the variety of colors and how it comes out and what happens. Okay, a whole bunch of them, looking good. And we use a repetitive pattern, and then put a gray piece on both ends is what we're going to do. So, and you might want to do that too. You finish it off with a specific color that you like, or maybe something steel colored or something like that. So now it's time to glue all those layers together. Apply a nice thick and even coat of white glue, it's not watered down, to the first one. Oh, and notice that on the table there we've got wax paper down because you're going to make a glue mess. So put down some wax paper or something so you don't get glue everywhere. And then stick your next piece right on top of it. Try to line it up nice and even. And then use some kind of a tool, in this case this is an origami bone folder, to squeeze out the excess glue and press it down and squeeze out the excess glue. Start at the center and work your way out towards the edges. That will push the glue out of the joint between the two of them. You know, and you know, you'll get a feel for this, but if you press too hard you can rip the construction paper. You know, squeeze out a lot of the glue. And then you do it again. Now you apply a layer of a white glue, put down your next paper layer, and squeeze out the glue. So you continue to do that for your whole stack. There we go, another layer. See how we get the stack there on the left all lined up and ready to go? That way you don't have to worry about what color is what. You did that ahead of time. Now you can just focus on gluing layers. And hey, have fun with the different colors, or just use 2 colors if you want. See, layer, layer, color, color, color. All done. Put it between wrap it in the construction paper like this, and then put it under a bunch of books and a bunch of weight. See, I got the glue, I got the weight there. To let it dry, and it's going to take a while to dry, but it's important to squeeze it nice and tight. and let it dry, and it may take 2 or 3 days to dry. Sorry. So now, once it's dry, take it out and clean up the edges. You can use a Dremel tool for that. There's a lot of glue that exuded out of the layers, so the edges are very gluey. X-Acto knife, sandpaper, clean up those edges as best you can. And if you use an X-Acto knife, please be careful. You can very easy to catch your thumb with that. Then let's start with the pattern. This is what you want to see, right? The Damascus Steel pattern. I'll show you a bunch of different options. First off, you can use a rotary tool like a Dremel. And it's really nice. It works really fast, and you can get really creative with it. But you also can make mistakes really quickly with this, so you have to be careful. But notice how we're working at an angle there. It's important that you do all this work at an angle to the blade. That way the layers come out. See it? So as you're starting, you can use sandpaper. You can use some kind of a sanding wedge there, sanding block. But sand it, work on it a little bit. You can use an X-Acto knife. Wrap sanding paper around a pencil. And keep an eye on it, watch what happens, see how it reacts, so you can understand to get it the way you want. And then once you get it the way you want, you can use a finer grit sandpaper to kind of clean it up and smooth it out and do some of the detail work. And you can do a little bit of flat sanding with a piece of wood like that. If you have some power tools, go right ahead and use them, just go easy. That's it, we're just about done with this tutorial, kind of fun. See that? Now this is the other side, and see, I used a different technique here for this. Like I used a rasp to rasp away. You can use a rasp. I used the power tools on this side. We didn't use any on the other side, just to see what kind of things. So you got a lot of variety you can do. And then once it's pretty much done, you can do some flat-on sanding with fine grit. Just go over it, and you'll see how the grain changes and the texture changes. It's kind of nice. You will get a feel for what's happening with it. So once it's all done, clean it up a little bit with a rag, and you can paint it if you prefer to, if you want to, paint some of it, like the handle here. So I painted the handle brown, then a little detail work with some gold and some black. I don't think I show you the black. Oh, excuse me. And this thing is done. Seal it. Seal it with white glue. And then if you want it nice and shiny, you can use some kind of a spray-on super high gloss, like Mod Podge makes it, something like that. Make it nice and shiny. Gives it kind of a metallic-ish look almost. Or bone or something. So that's it. The knife is done. You have made a Damascus Steel knife out of paper. Paper and glue. That's it. Crazy, crazy stuff. Thanks for watching. If you make this knife or a knife like it, make sure you send me a picture. I'd love to see it and put it on my website. If you want to make this exact knife, I have the template on the website. The link is below. So here's a couple more projects you might like. I think you might like. Up top is a rubber band gun out of foam board. And below is an actual real steel knife. I show you how to make that using the stock removal method. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button.